His breath is warm against my neck, and I can't move, can't breathe, can't think. "You feel like heaven," Hyeon-Woo whispers, his fingers tracing the length of my spine through the thin silk of my nightgown. This wasn't supposed to happen. None of this was supposed to happen. 3 months ago, I was Brooklyn Carter, a 27-year-old emergency room nurse in Manhattan, working 16-hour shifts and coming home to a mailbox stuffed with medical bills. My mother's cancer treatment had drained everything. I was drowning in debt, surviving on instant ramen and black coffee, wondering if I'd ever see daylight again. Then a man in a $1,000 suit walked into my life. Welcome back to my channel, beautiful souls. Before we dive deeper into this emotional roller coaster, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you're ready for a story about love, betrayal, and impossible choices. This one's going to teach you that sometimes the most expensive things in life are free, and the most beautiful moments can hide the darkest secrets. If you're new here, subscribe, smash that like button, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Now, let's get back to how a girl from Brooklyn ended up in a Korean billionaire's bed, with her heart in pieces and her world about to explode. The assistant approached me during my break, right outside the hospital. He was Korean, impeccably dressed, and he knew my name. "Miss Carter, my employer would like to discuss a business opportunity with you." I almost laughed. "I think you have the wrong person." Brooklyn Marie Carter, 27, mother currently in hospice care at St. Mary's. Medical debt totaling $1.3 million. 3 jobs. No criminal record. No romantic entanglements. He handed me a card. "My employer is prepared to solve all of your problems." The next day, I sat in a penthouse suite overlooking Central Park, face to face with Kang Hyeon-Woo. He was nothing like I expected. 32 years old, founder and CEO of Kang Industries, one of the largest tech conglomerates in Asia. His black hair was cut short and slicked back perfectly. Not a strand out of place. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to calculate everything. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than my car, and when he looked at me, I felt like a specimen under a microscope. "You need money. I need a wife. For 1 year." His English was perfect, barely accented. "I will pay you $1 million. Your mother's medical bills will be covered in full. The best treatment available. After 1 year, we divorce quietly, and you walk away." I stared at him. "This is insane. This is business." He slid a contract across the table. "You will live in Seoul, separate bedrooms, no physical contact. You attend events as my wife when required. In public, we are a devoted couple. In private, we are strangers." "Why me?" "Because you're nobody." He said it without malice, just fact. No connections to Korean society. No ulterior motives. "You need money. I need freedom from my family's matchmaking. It's clean." I should have walked away. But I thought about my mother, about the hospice nurse, who told me she had maybe 3 months without aggressive treatment. I thought about the stack of past due notices on my kitchen counter. $2 million, I heard myself say. And I want it in writing that my mother gets care for life, even after the divorce. Done. 2 weeks later, I became Mrs. Kang in a private ceremony with 2 witnesses and 0 emotion. Hyun-Woo barely looked at me as we signed the papers. We didn't kiss. We shook hands like business partners, because that's what we were. The flight to Seoul was first class. I'd never been on a plane before. Hyun-Woo Poor worked on his laptop the entire time, never speaking to me unless necessary. When we landed, a car took us to his home, a massive modern mansion in Hanam-dong that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. "Your room is upstairs, second door on the left. Staff will help you settle in. I have meetings." He walked away before I could respond. My room was bigger than my entire apartment in New York. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Han River. The closet was already filled with designer clothes in my exact size. Everything was white and pristine and cold. I sat on the bed and cried for the first time since signing that contract. The household staff treated me like I was invisible. They spoke in Korean, sometimes laughing while looking at me. I didn't need a translation to know I was the joke. Hyeon-Woo's mother was worse. She came to dinner 3 days after I arrived. Elegant, dripping in pearls. She looked at me like I was dirt on her shoe. So this is the American. She spoke in English, slow and deliberate. My son tells me you're a nurse. How quaint. Mother. Hyeon-Woo's voice held a warning. What? I'm being polite. She smiled at me, all teeth and no warmth. Tell me, Brooklyn, do you even know how to use chopsticks? Or should we get you a fork, like a child? My face burned. I picked up the chopsticks and fumbled with them. Rice fell onto the table. She laughed, a tinkling sound that made me want to disappear. Hyeon-Woo said nothing. He ate in silence, and I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. But then small things started changing. One morning, I came down to breakfast and found coffee waiting for me. Not the traditional Korean tea the staff usually served, but American coffee with cream and 2 sugars. Exactly how I liked it. I told them your preference, Hyeon-Woo said, without looking up from his newspaper. A week later, his mother made another cutting remark about my long, wavy hair being too wild for a proper Korean wife. Before I could respond, Hyeon-Woo cut her off. Her hair is beautiful. If you can't be civil, mother, you're not welcome in my home. His mother left in a huff. I stared at him. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. He met my eyes for the first time in days. You're my wife. Contracted or not, you deserve respect. Something shifted after that. He started coming home earlier. We'd eat dinner together, and he'd ask about my day. I told him about video calling my mother, about how strange Seoul felt. He listened. One night, I found him in the kitchen at 2 a.m, tie loosened, hair slightly mussed, the first time I'd seen it anything less than perfect. Rough day? I asked. Merger falling apart. Shareholders are panicking. He looked exhausted. Want some hot chocolate? It's my solution for everything. He almost smiled. I don't think we have that. Then we make it. I found cocoa powder, milk, sugar. We stood in his pristine kitchen, and I taught him how to make hot chocolate from scratch. He burned the first batch. I laughed, and he actually laughed too, the surprise sound like he'd forgotten how. We sat at the counter, drinking hot chocolate at 2 a.m, and for the first time, he felt real. Then Ji-Hye walked into our lives. She appeared at the house one afternoon, unannounced, tall, elegant, speaking Korean to Hyeon-Woo. Her hair was perfectly styled, her dress was couture, and she looked at me like I was an inconvenient stain. You must be the wife, she said in English, her accent refined. How unexpected. Ji-Hye, Hyeon-Woo's voice was tight. What are you doing here? Can't I visit old friends? She touched his arm, familiar, possessive. We need to discuss the merger, privately. They disappeared into his office. I stood in the foyer like an idiot, my heart doing something strange and painful in my chest. Later, I asked him who she was. Business associate. Her father owns the 2nd largest tech company in Korea. She seems like more than that. She's not. But he wouldn't look at me. I started noticing things after that. Phone calls he took in Korean, leaving the room. Late meetings that ran past midnight. The way he'd seemed distant for days after Ji-Hye visited. One night, after a particularly awful dinner where his mother spent 2 hours explaining traditional Korean wife duties I was failing at, I broke. I can't do this anymore. We were in the foyer. I had my coat on, my bag packed. Where are you going? I don't know. a hotel, back to New York, anywhere but here where I'm treated like I'm worthless. You're not worthless. Then why do you let them treat me like I am? I was crying now, angry tears. I know this is fake, but I'm still a person. I'm still here, trying, and you're just what? Absent. You're physically here, but you're somewhere else. With her, probably. With Ji-Hai. There's nothing between Ji-Hai and me. I don't believe you. He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Brooklyn, wait. Why? Give me one reason why I should stay in this horrible arrangement where everyone hates me and you barely acknowledge. I exist except when it's convenient. Because I'm falling in love with you. The words exploded out of him, and I have no idea what to do about it. The rain started then, sudden and heavy. We stood there, staring at each other, and then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle or careful. It was desperate, like he'd been holding it back forever. His hands tangled in my long hair, and I forgot every rule we'd made. Forgot the contract. Forgot everything except the way he tasted like coffee and rain and something I couldn't name but needed more than air. We barely made it back inside. After that night, everything changed again. He'd come home and find me. We'd cook together, terribly, laughing when we burned things. He taught me Korean phrases. I taught him to stop controlling every single moment of his life. Why do you wear your hair like that? I asked one night, running my fingers through it after a shower, watching it fall naturally instead of slicked back. Control, he admitted. Everything in my life has to be controlled. What if you let go sometimes? He looked at me with something raw in his eyes. I'm terrified of what happens if I do. Try it with me. And he did. For weeks, we existed in this bubble where the contract didn't matter, where he'd whisper things in Korean that made my skin burn, where I'd wake up with his arm around me, his face peaceful in sleep. Which brings us to tonight, our wedding night, 3 months late. You feel like heaven, he whispers, and I believe him. I believe every touch, every kiss, every whispered promise in the dark. I fall asleep feeling safe for the first time since leaving New York. I wake up alone. There's a note on the pillow. Emergency meeting. Back tonight. But something feels wrong. The house is too quiet. I get dressed and go downstairs, looking for coffee, for normalcy. That's when I hear his voice from the study. The door is slightly open. He's speaking in Korean, but I catch certain words. My name, Jihee's name. And then in English, clear as day. The divorce papers need to be ready. 2 months from now, exactly 1 year as contracted. My blood turns to ice. I push the door open. He's on the phone, and when he sees me, his face goes white. I'll call you back. He hangs up. Brooklyn. Divorce papers. You're already planning our divorce. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me. I'm shaking. Explain how last night happened while you're scheduling our divorce. He runs his hand through his hair, messing up the perfect style. It's complicated. Uncomplicated. The contract with my mother and Ji-Hai's father. What contract? Before I married you, they had an arrangement. I had to stay unmarried to Ji-Hai for 1 year. After that, I'm free to marry her and merge our companies. You were always meant to be temporary, Brooklyn. A placeholder. The room spins. A placeholder. When I hired you, I didn't expect to feel anything. You were supposed to be nobody. Remember, just a transaction. And now I don't know. He's frustrated, pacing. Everything changed. You changed everything. Did you ever plan to tell me? Or were you just going to let me fall in love with you and then serve me divorce papers like it was nothing? He doesn't answer. That's answer enough. I need air. I push past him. Brooklyn, please. Don't. Just don't. I end up in the garden, trying to breathe. That's where Ji-Hai finds me an hour later. He told you. She sits on the bench beside me, uninvited. I can see it on your face. What do you want? To help you understand. She looks almost sympathetic. Hyeon-Woo's sister, Min Seo. She was my best friend. She fell in love with a man her family didn't approve of. She married him anyway. 6 months later, she died in a car accident on her way to meet him. I close my eyes. Hyeon-Woo blamed love for killing her. He blamed happiness. He swore he'd never make the same mistake, never choose his heart over duty. That's why he agreed to marry me eventually. It's safe, expected. No messy emotions that could lead to tragedy. So I was what? A test run? You were supposed to be protection, but you became the very thing he's terrified of. She stands. He loves you, Brooklyn. That's why he'll let you go. Because he thinks love is a death sentence. She leaves me there, and I can't stop crying. That night, I make my decision. I book a flight to New York for 3 days from now. If I'm leaving on my terms, not waiting around to be discarded. I don't tell Hyeon-Woo. We move around each other like ghosts for 2 days. He tries to talk to me. I can't hear it. The morning of my flight, I'm in the foyer with my suitcase when the door bursts open. Hyeon-Woo stands there, breathing hard like he ran the whole way. His hair is a mess. His tie is crooked, and he's holding papers. Don't go. I have to. No, you don't. Look at these. He shoves the papers at me. My parents' marriage contract. I found it in my father's study after you told me you were leaving. I look at the faded document. It's in Korean, but I can see the signatures, the dates. They had the same arrangement, he says. Contract marriage, 1 year. My mother needed money. My father needed a wife for appearances. But they fell in love, and instead of ending it, they stayed trapped in this cold business arrangement for 40 years. It destroyed them. I watched it destroy them. Hyeon-Woo. I dissolved the business deal with Ji-Hye's father. It cost me $300 million and a controlling share in the merger. I don't care. He pulls out our contract and tears it in half. I'm terrified, Brooklyn. I'm terrified that if I love you, I'll lose you like I lost Min Seo. But I'm more terrified of waking up in 40 years, cold and alone, wondering what could have been. I can't speak, can't move. Stay. Not because of money or a contract. Stay because you want. To stay because his voice breaks. Stay because I love you, and I don't know how to be a person without you anymore. I should tell him everything, but the words stick in my throat, and something else comes out instead. I'm pregnant. He freezes. What? I found out yesterday. That's why I was leaving early. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I loved you too much to watch you choose duty over us. I couldn't be second place, and I couldn't let my child be second place either. He drops to his knees in front of me, his hands shaking as they reach for my face. You're first. You've been first since the moment you made me burn hot chocolate at 2 a.m. You're first, Brooklyn. You and our baby. You're everything. You're sure, because there's no going back from this. I've never been more sure of anything. He's crying now, this powerful CEO on his knees in the foyer. I'm done being afraid. I'm done choosing the safe option. I choose you. I choose us. I pull him up and kiss him, tasting salt and relief and hope. I'm still terrified. He whispers against my lips. Me too. Good. That means it's real. The next day, Hyeon-Woo calls a press conference. Every major Korean media outlet is there. I stand beside him, my hand in his, and watch him throw away the careful image he's maintained his entire life. I want to introduce you to my wife, not my contracted wife, not my business arrangement, my wife, whom I love, who's carrying my child, and who I will spend the rest of my life choosing every single day. The questions explode. The gossip sites go crazy. His mother calls 17 times. He ignores all of it and takes me home. 6 months later, I'm huge. I'm teaching part-time at a Seoul hospital. My Korean is improving, and Hyeon-Woo's hair is longer now, less controlled, falling naturally around his face. He comes home early with bags of baby supplies, arguing with me about strollers. This one has better suspension. Hyeon-Woo, it's a stroller, not a luxury car. Our baby deserves the best suspension. I laugh, and he looks at me like I hung the moon. The doorbell rings. It's his mother. We haven't spoken since the press conference. She stands there, awkward, holding a box. Traditional herbs, for after the baby comes. My mother gave them to me. She clears her throat. I thought perhaps I could teach you some recipes, if you want. It's not an apology, but it's a start. I'd like that, I say. She nods stiffly and leaves. Hyeon-Woo wraps his arms around me from behind, his hands on my swollen belly. She's trying. I know, it's weird. Everything about us is weird. He kisses my neck. We're a disaster. The best disaster. That night, we're in the nursery, painting walls a soft yellow. I'm on a ladder, reaching high, when I feel his hands on my waist, steadying me. Careful. I've got it. I know you do. But let me help anyway. I climb down, and he pulls me close. Paint, smudged on his cheek, his short hair falling into his eyes. You feel like heaven, he whispers. Exactly like he did 3 months ago on our wedding night. But this time, I whisper back. You feel like home. And somewhere between the contract and the chaos, the pain and the promises, we found something real, something worth fighting for, something that started as a business arrangement and became the greatest love story neither of us saw coming. Because sometimes the most expensive things in life are free. And sometimes heaven and home are the same place, wrapped in the arms of the person you were never supposed to love, but can't imagine living without.